Welcome back to Yaffee Live. Back here on Talk Radio 102.3. Glad to be back on the air. It's been a crazy week in my life, as you all know, but I'm glad to be back. And I'm also glad that Brandon Lewis is here. He is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative, and you can read his stuff, all the latest when it comes to the legislature at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm great. Got back from a several day long camping trip in the Cherokee Wilderness. It was great. So I'm recharged and raring to go.
Okay, good. I need something like that. I will not get that for a while. My baby was just born, so I don't think we'll take him camping anytime soon. But
You're a tall guy, so this baby is probably pretty big, I'd imagine. I don't know.
he's gigantic. He's absolutely gigantic. This baby, it's ridiculous. All right, so I was looking at the list of stories you guys have. I do want to skip down real quick because I know you guys have been keeping up with the immigration bills that are making legislative headway in the state. I had this in my Tennessee bullet points. So something you and I have talked about a lot. So I was curious, any update on what's going on there?
So we got a litany to run through. I'll do this as quickly as I can. We have a bill that creates a Class A misdemeanor for anyone with a final deportation order who comes into the state lines within 90 days. And the vote was 73 to 22 along party lines. We had another one that'll make a Class E felony for local officials uh, to release personal identifying information of ICE agents and other that would require those seeking to obtain professional licensures that are illegal aliens to present their citizenship documentation. Oddly enough, Republicans made this legal and then made it illegal, and now are making it even more illegal. So we've seen a flip-flop on that, but it's in a good direction. Another one closes loopholes for those that are lobbyists that have any type of entities that they're related to. They have to disclose that. Constitutional amendment saying that only U.S. citizens can vote. Believe it or not, we got three Democrats to join us on that one. And then three more quickly require state and local governments to e-verify citizenship of prospective employees. That's a good thing. There's another one that requires local government agencies that dispense state benefits to check illegal immigration status. Now, we've been told for years that this never happens, but we have a bill that says they have to check it.
Good.
Well, I mean, if it never happens, well, why do we have to check it? The chances are that it happens all the time.
Well,
And
not
then
only
finally,
that, but
one
how do we know it doesn't happen if we're not checking?
ask the Republican politicians that tell you it doesn't ever happen
Okay.
to take you on that circular logic
Yeah.
trip.
Mhm.
And then a final one that says basically, if you can't read English, you can't be a commercial driver, and it charges the company with a $500 citation if they're caught on the road. And typically, the penalties to the company is more so than the drivers are what really end up making this stuff work. So, these are all good bills, things that need to be done. And so I'm excited to see them advancing in the House and the Senate.
I was gonna say, did you ever expect this to happen where so many immigration bills actually look like they're gonna pass and they're good immigration bills?
Yes, I mean, we need to strike while the iron's hot. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about state level Republicans. They insist, for whatever reason, that unless there's someone who's a Republican and conservative in the White House, that their hands are tied. And so they have sat on many of these measures for, at least 6 years since I've been following it, and of course, decades before. So it does go to show that when you have some leadership at the top on an issue, it creates pressure for those that are
Yeah.
down ballot to actually deliver for their constituents. So these are good bills, and I'm glad to see them advancing.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's great. I think you're right. I mean, it's been something they've sat on for years, and then all of a sudden, it's like Trump says, "We're going to do this," and it's like, "Oh, okay, we'll agree." It's like you could have done this before, but we'll take it. We'll take it. I'm speaking with Brandon Lewis of the Tennessee Conservative. Looking at some other stuff, a lot of stories about protecting children, honestly. But you have one story about trafficking and drugs. New report shows more abuse of Tennessee children in state care, which is really tragic.
Yeah, let the government take care of your kids. What could go wrong? You could put this underneath the heading of so many stories that we
Right.
report. And so another one is basically they discovered that there were a couple of kids. One was dealing meth. And a lot of this is not really surprising if you think about teenage kids and the homes that they come from and the lives that
Yeah.
they've led. But the thing was, there was, once they did the drug test, there was no follow up to make sure the kid didn't have access to the drugs. There was another one where an older child that had been trafficked came into the DCS environment and was recruiting other kids to be trafficked, and it really wasn't followed up on. But the thing was, is the mentor or the sponsor was in cahoots on this, and so you put a kid who's come out of a terrible situation under the care of unscrupulous people, and it continues to go. And let's be frank, it's hard to find people to watch kids that are in this environment, and some bad apples are going to get through. But this is a long story of, the government just really is not a caretaker. They're not an educator. That's not what they do well. They can fix roads maybe sometimes if they feel like it. They can patch a pothole here and there and build a bridge. But that's really, safety and things of that nature. But when it comes to really taking care of our kids, they're better off in the hands of their parents.
And kind of on that note, because you have been a big promoter of homeschool,
Yes.
and for the same reasons, because you don't really trust the state to do a good job for obvious reasons. We haven't seen the state do a good job in a lot of places in Tennessee. So there is a homeschool bill. There would be a proposed constitutional amendment securing Tennessee's parents' right to homeschool, but Republicans killed it. So talk about what happened here.
So Jody Barrett just basically said, "Hey, we need to enshrine this in the Constitution that affirms that parents have the inherent and fundamental right to direct the upbringing of the parent's child, including but not limited to the right of an education, as the parent sees fit, and also that if any money was provided, publicly funded for education, scholarships, grants, or stipends or vouchers, that parents wouldn't have any strings attached to that. They could still raise their kids." And the thing that baffles me, and Mr. Barrett made this argument. We had a couple of people say, well, we could have kids that are in homeschool that are 4 or 5 grades behind. Well, 35% of kids are only reading at grade level in school. And
Mm-hmm.
I could take you to 5 or 6 schools and maybe even more here in Hamilton County. We could get, 100 high school teachers, or rather students, to take a literacy test and a basic grammar and writing and reading and comprehension test for $50 each. And after $5,000 would have been spent, there are some of these schools in our county right now. You'd be lucky to find 10 kids that could pass it, and they graduate them. And so we have illiteracy mills running at breakneck speed, where we just pass them along and graduate them. They never repeat a grade. And so I think the issue is not with the parents, it's with the government ran facilities. And so they need to focus on this. And we got the same bad actors, Kirk Haston, Lee Reeves, Mark White. They've been on this education committee, many of them for a decade, Mr. White especially, and Kirk. And government schools have not gotten any better. And so I wish Republicans would mind their own store and not worry about parents so much.
So yeah, so I mean, basically, their argument is that we should worry about parents because parents might do something bad, and that's why we can't give them too much choice, too much power. But your whole point, which is a good one, it's like, well, I mean, the state, you expect the state to do better, and they're not. I mean, they're failing as well. So it's hard to. We're just pointing fingers. It seems like.
Well, all of these politicians, many of them, they love government, even though they run on a Republican ticket, and they care more about the government employees at the job factory than they do the kids and the
Yeah.
parents that they serve. And I just on a final note on that, if you had a radio station that was hemorrhaging money and nobody was listening to the programming and the salespeople sat, at their desk all day and they didn't go out and sell anything, you couldn't turn a service business like that around with a couple of dinky changes. Somebody would have to come in that had a lot of experience and
Mhm.
change everything in the organization. And so all of this nibbling around the edges that we do every year, where we, put a logo up, go get a mascot, wrap a van, send the director of education for Tennessee schools around to do a bunch of photo ops about some new program, like that's not fixing it. The incentive structures are fundamentally broken, and until we have a governor serious about reforming education and who thinks more about the kids than the power structure that enables it to continue operating, I don't think that we're going to have a lot of change.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're exactly right on that. Speaking with Brandon Lewis of the Tennessee Conservative and talking about that, another bill here that's meant to protect kids and kind of related to the subject as well as public school. There's a bill creating criminal offense for teachers who bully students. Luckily, this one has unanimously passed the Tennessee Senate, so at least this will get bipartisan support.
Yeah, and it's so basically finding that anyone who had committed an act of harassment, intimidation, or bullying, cyberbullying is subject to dismissal or suspension. Anything that substantially interferes with the victim's educational benefits, opportunities, or performance, how that will be evaluated as it works its way through the sausage grinder of the bureaucracy, who knows? But again, this falls in that category of all the bills that have been passed over the last 5 years. You can't molest the kids, can't have sex with the kids, can't bully the kids, can't indoctrinate the kids. Boy, if there was a private school and you knew that they were having a meeting every other week to try to pass, uh,
Rules, yeah.
ordinances within the
Yeah.
private school that this can't happen, I guess the logical thing you would go is, man, this must happen a lot for this to be enshrined over and over again. Maybe it's not a place I want to send my kids. And so it's sad, but Republicans don't see it that way. They keep thinking that if they put a bunch of rules around a broken system, that it will change the cultural behavior of those within it. And my experience in running a school and coaching service businesses tells me that that's not the way to get it done.
Yeah, we need real reform, is what you're saying, within the system. I mean, we need, like you said, to give homeschoolers their rights, but if we also want to reform and make the system itself better, and we're just kind of, well, like you said, nibbling around the edges and not really addressing the core problem. And yeah, you're right too that I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's gonna take a governor who makes that a priority and comes in and really shakes things up and makes that like we're going to do this. But I don't know if that's going to happen. One more story you have here, kind of unrelated. I'm curious your thoughts on this. I am not one who makes a big deal of daylight savings time or standard time. To me, it's like it's an hour. I don't. It doesn't. The days are going to get longer and shorter no matter what you do because of how the Earth revolves around the sun and everything else. But they're trying to make a bill, pass a bill. It's dead now. That would make permanent standard time. And I feel like nothing's ever going to happen here because there are some in Congress that want to make daylight savings time permanent. So you have a whole group wants standard time permanent. You have another group wants daylight savings time permanent. And then you have a lot of people that maybe just want to keep it the same. What do you think here? Is this a priority for you?
Well, I don't know if it's a priority for me. I would like to see it done. And if when you survey people in Tennessee, essentially they are overwhelmingly in support of longer days, right? Let it be
Mm-hmm.
dark earlier. I mean, that's basically what people say. And I can understand. My friend Eric, we were out for St. Patrick's Day at a local establishment here to listen to some good Irish music. And he said, just change your schedule. But, a lot of people can't change their schedule. I mean, most people, not all, are buckled into an 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job. And, before they get home, it's dark and they want to do stuff outside and things of that nature, and they can't. I guess you could do it in the morning, but most people would prefer longer days. And I think this is, again, just survey your clients, survey your constituents. I would say that to everybody that voted against this: Adam Lowe, Kerry Roberts, Paige Wally, Briggs, Hatcher. But survey your constituents. It would not come back the way you voted. And I wish more politicians would have some kind of cheap and efficient way
Well,
through text messaging and voice polling just to ask their constituents what they want and deliver on it.
well, I would though hit back a little bit because I think if you make standard time permanent, the days would be shorter permanently, right? And daylight savings time, if you make that permanent, then the days would be longer, at least in the evening. So if this bill were passed, I think it would actually make the day shorter, right? Do we have it backwards?
No,
See,
I
this is some of
think
the
I think
confusion.
this is The daylight, to my knowledge, the daylight savings time it was designed for better light in the morning, and standard
Yeah.
time is the one that we flip back to now. And so that is my understanding is that basically Chris was bringing this bill because it is more popular. People do want the days to basically they want the light to be out past 5 o'clock, and this is the time that does that. To my knowledge, I could be confused on it, but I don't think he's trying to make it dark earlier. Because again, when you survey Tennesseans, and they've done
Right.
this a few times, I think Beacon Center did a poll on this, and it came back, 80 something percent, and that's cross section. That's not just Republicans. People tend just want it to be light longer.
Gotcha. Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative. Go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Appreciate it. My friend, we'll talk to you again next week.
Talk to you soon, Yaffee.